Well, what is this?
Welcome to the LadyGang.
That's amazing. Say that again.
The LadyGang.
Things are about to change around here.
Each week we catch up with Hollywood's hottest girl posse, Kelty Knight, Becca Tobin, and Jack Vanek.
Hello. Welcome to the LadyGang. I am Becca Tobin here with Jack Vanek and Kelty Knight.
Hello. I'm so excited to see you guys today. Happy New Year, everybody.
Holy shit.
This is the first episode of 2023.
Damn.
And all of your dreams shall come true this year.
I love 2023 already. Do you know why?
Why?
Because do you remember in school when you would be alphabetical order and they would and like for a while they were giving you numbers? So like Jessica Adams was like number 1 and it would go down accordingly. And like my class
was 23?
I was always 23, like almost every school year because I'm a T and there were about 30 kids in the class. I was always 23. So it became a very lucky number for me. And I know that's very cliche because it's Michael Jordan's number. So a lot of people gravitate toward it. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I like our guest today. I'm rejuvenated.
You know, 23 is also one of the lost numbers.
What does that mean?
From the lottery ticket from Lost. It is 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. So that's why I feel very lucky for this year too.
How did you memorize that?
It's like
because it was a large part of Lost. And
it was. That's true.
And I was obsessed. So
were you considering the tattoo?
No, but one of my friends got the tattoo.
Oh my God. Lost will always remind me of the movie This Is 40. How their oldest daughter is obsessed with Lost and she's just constantly watching it. And then she's one of the Apatow daughters? Yeah, Maud Apatow. And they go find her before like it's the end of the movie and they're like, hey, it's time to get ready for the party. And she's sobbing and she's like, I just finished the end of Lost. It's so fucked up. And he's like, you're going to need to pull it together for the birthday party. It's so fucking good.
God, I miss Lost. I mean, there's never been another TV show quite like it. We used to have Lost parties where we all dressed up in Dharma like outfits and we made the Dharma beer, which is the weird thing that exists. Whatever. It was a whole thing. Wow. I love Lost. But I feel lucky. 23 is a great number. We're going to have a good year.
I love it so much. I'm ready. Can I go first?
Okay. Yeah. It's time for
Good Week.
Yes, it is.
Bad Week. Oh, no.
All right. So my bad week is I want to clear the slate for 2023. I want to go into this year with a clear conscience. So I'm letting everyone know that solo YOLO was not my idea. Okay, so for this tour, I'm leaving this in 2022. We had these pins, solo YOLO. It worked out beautifully. If you came by yourself, you got the pin, and then you made other friends. And like even in our meet and greets, we'd be like, "Hey, there was a girl who just had the pin." It helped us know like that we needed to make introductions. It was a fucking huge success. And at our last show, I was called out because the woman who actually invented and texted me, she DM'd me and said, hey, you should do like some sort of solo YOLO pins so people that come alone can come alone. She introduced herself as I invented solo YOLO. So I want the whole listenership to know I did not invent solo YOLO. I did present it to the lady and girls like I did invent solo YOLO and it was my idea. It was not my idea. Whew, my conscience is clear.
That was quite a moment, because you really have been claiming that as your own idea. And as somebody that, like, as the creative of the group, I was very impressed because I was like, wow, Kelty, this really...
Good idea.
Great idea.
Yeah, really good.
Never mentioned that it wasn't yours.
No.
Yeah, this is Kelty in a nutshell. Like...
Nope, be nice. It's 2023.
This is going to be nice, but you also stole an idea and didn't admit to it. You lied. So I don't think liars necessarily deserve gentle feedback. I just would never be able to sleep at night if I had presented an idea to the LadyGang that like literally took off. And it was a big part of a 3-month journey for us. Like I would have a really hard time even when we had girls come up at meet and greet saying to them, oh, you're alone, go get a solo YOLO pin. Like every time that would just crack away at my integrity. And so I just feel like...
Yeah, but I don't remember. That's the good stuff.
You really don't remember.
Because I'm such a skimmer,
You thought it was your idea.
I didn't remember. Literally, if you would have said you could go to heaven if you can tell me where Solo Yolo came from, I would have said I thought of it because I skimmed it and then it just lived up here in the tornado that's my brain, and then I pulled it out when it was needed.
That's insane.
Yeah, I believe it.
It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't like I'm purposely. There was no malicious intent where I was like, I'm going to take this. This is such a good idea. I'm going to have it for myself. No, it's the same way when I dress like Becca or when I got a bob. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I just you
truly thought it was in your own brain. Yeah. I love that. I mean, you know.
Okay, have a good week.
Okay, what's your good week?
So this is like a little complex, but I'm going to be very fast. So
oh God.
It's called spinegina. Have you heard of it?
No.
No.
Okay. So my friend is a brain doctor and he told me
is that the word for it?
Spinegina?
A brain doctor. No, I genuinely want to know because
I have no idea.
It's some neurologist.
Like neuro specialist or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, so this man is
neurologist.
He's working between brain and he also is the spine has a lot to do with the brain because it's all connected to the thing. So basically he was working on a part of the spine and he has found the spinegina, which is basically, well, I named it when he was telling me the story. He can go and pinprick a nerve in your spine and give you an orgasm.
Whoa.
Just with the spine. So you have a tiny vagina in your spine that can also get orgasmed. And the way he found out is really hilarious because he was operating on this woman who was like 80 years old and like they were going down to like touch a brain and then touch the back to see like, you know, and they keep you awake to see like what's happening. And she was like, do it again.
It's probably like a nerve ending that's like somehow connected to it.
It's like reflexology.
Yeah. I love it. So I hope that every man out there, once he finds out what your clitoris is.
Oh my God. What a way easier and less messy way to have an orgasm. You know
what I mean? Spinegina for everyone. Spinegina for 2023.
That's great.
Okay. So I got permission to tell this story.
Ooh, that makes me good.
It's actually kind of depressing and makes me fill with rage, and you too. I have a very close friend who has MS and she travels a lot for work and she will occasionally ask for a wheelchair if she needs to get to her gate quickly. And sometimes she doesn't need it because also MS, it's not a straight line. So some days she does need it, some days she doesn't, if it's a long walk to the gate, whatever it is. So when you're flying and sometimes you have to request that you need the wheelchair and they plan everything for you. And sometimes different airlines do it differently. That's the first part of the story. The second part of the story is pre-boarding for airplanes, for airlines, is for people who need more time. And a lot of the time, those are the people that have wheelchairs or like people with children, whatever.
Yeah.
So my friend has flown almost every week for the past 6 months and goes to when she's not using a wheelchair, she still needs to pre-board. Because she needs the extra time. Every single fucking time she has walked up to the gate to pre-board, either a person flying or the gate agent looks at her and says, basically, why are you pre-boarding? What the fuck's wrong with you? People who work for the airline who are asking her this question. And it's like, you act as if pre-boarding is getting on a private plane and it's a huge luxury. It's just 5 extra fucking minutes to get to my seat and situate myself. So if you are flying on an airline or you work for an airline, that is like, I am horrified at the amount of people who have the audacity to ask somebody why they're asking for this special treatment. Southwest, she's been flying a lot. It's the majority of those customers are the ones who get nosy and ask her why she's pre-boarding. The gate agent at Southwest just gave her a horrible talking to about not using the wheelchair but still wanting to pre-board and telling her she's wasting people's time by putting wheelchair on her reservation and then deciding not to use it once she gets there. She lectured her about how she was wasting people's time because people were organizing the wheelchair and that she wasn't planning on using it.
Jesus, dude.
I am so, and this is, I've actually been with her when we've pulled up somewhere and she has a handicap tag on her car and someone has asked her what's wrong with her. And I am just like, public service announcement.
Oh my God.
If you see this, or if you do this, stop. Or if you see this happening, please speak up. It is so shocking that in the year of 2022 and 2023 that we are still dealing with people being so crazy, narrow-minded, and just straight up assholes. Like, I'm so angry. So I'm sorry to get so deep about it, but it has happened so much that I am just like, this has to be a problem. This has to be a problem that anybody with a disability is facing right now. Yeah. So Southwest, get your shit together.
And mind your own business.
Mind?
It's just so crazy that like anybody thinks that they should have the right to comment, especially publicly, on somebody's situation. Like, it truly is like, shut the fuck up and like sit down. Has like nothing to do with you.
This
and
happens.
Like the amount of people that are probably trying to take advantage of the pre-board are so small that like it's kind of gross that somebody's first first thing that's going to come into their head is
they, like see a pretty girl and
what
they're
are you
like,
doing?
oh.
Like, yeah, there's no way that you could like actually need this time. Like, you must be just trying to get on the like. Nobody wants to get on that plane to begin with. Like,
no.
It's not
Pre-boarding
exciting to get on it. You're not going to get there any faster. So it's like, I don't think that anybody is really trying to cut a line. Like,
they're not giving out jelly beans when you're pre-boarding. Like, go yourself.
You're just sitting on the plane longer, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. I'm so sorry.
I hear you. This actually happens with my brother because he has a disability because he had a back injury and like, but he can drive and he can walk, but like he can't sit for a long time. And so he does have a handicap pass on his truck. And when he'll come pick me up at the airport, he'll pull into the handicap station because he can't like, first of all, he's had 8 back surgeries. It's his fucking right. Like, there's no reason. But, like, he can't walk for long distances without feeling horrific pain. And so he does get to park closer or whatever. And it's like people are like, look at this guy. And I'm like, go yourself. Like, you really don't know what's going on in people's lives. And just stay out of the business. Get in line when it's your turn in line and call it a fucking day.
Dude, keep your nose out of people's shit.
It's just so crazy. It's just crazy to me.
That's
I
so
wish
disgusting.
I could. I mean, it's gross. But my good week feels inappropriate to even do a good week. But I found parents who love their child more than Jack Van X.
Wow. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it.
I just saw an article that the actor Glenn Powell's parents have seen Top Gun 13 times in the theaters. 13 times from start to finish.
Oh, that's cute.
What? 13 motherfucking times. And I was like, this is Jack Vanek level love.
Oh, yeah.
And devotion.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, my God. You know what? My parents would see my movie 14 times.
That's
so
true.
I don't believe it, but like that is a close second.
No, Jack, they did not come to every city on tour. They came to one city on tour.
That's true.
Because I wouldn't let them. They would. They truly would have. But I was like, you cannot. They were asking when we first did the tour, they're like, okay, so like
what
New York and like where else? And I was like, no. Because I knew we would be like, you know, so
frazzled. Yeah.
But wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Is he an only child? Do we know anything about his life?
He's got siblings. I actually know him from like my 20s in LA, and he's such a good guy and like such a nice guy, and he brings his family on so many red carpets. Like, he's adorable in the sense that he's like so family oriented, and his parents walk the carpet with him a lot, and like it's just really cute. It's very on brand for him, for his family to have seen that movie so many times. But I just saw it and I was like,
sweet.
This is Jack Vanek's family.
That's really cute. Okay, so I'm gonna go. So my good week, and I totally forgot to talk about it, but this was months ago that this happened. But my trip to Salem was probably one of the best trips that I've ever been on. And I am not a person that likes to go look at monuments and like, I don't like to do the touristy things, but I was just balls deep into the Salem witch trial.
Deep.
I was seeing I was learning, I was visiting, I was doing tours of museums, and it truly truly was like one of the best and most informative trips that I've ever been on. But my good week out of it is I have never been recognized more than in Salem, Massachusetts.
And witches love Jack Vanek.
Wow.
All the emos were out, and it was kind of all like emo girls too. Like there was definitely a vibe that was happening. So this was in October, but it was so nice to meet all of my fellow emos in Salem.
Wow. Incredible.
It was very on brand for me. But it was a shit show. My bad week. I had a very weird situation happen to me, and Kelty told a story about her being in a Starbucks line on a podcast recently, and it really kickstarted this memory of something that happened to me recently. So I was at a Starbucks in Phoenix with Jared, and we were waiting in line. There's probably 10 people in front of us in line, and I was kind of on my phone for a while, and I didn't realize that the line hadn't moved in probably 5 minutes. And when I looked up, there was one person at the register checking out one woman, and this woman had like a couple bags that she like had some Starbucks memorabilia in, and then she was kind of like sifting through the gift cards. And I started watching her, and I'm like, what's going on? The line is not moving. It's now like 15 minutes later. This woman is going through Starbucks gift cards and sifting through them and like kind of giving her one and be like, no, I don't know. I'm going to check like a different gift card. And then getting like a Starbucks cup, and then in the middle of all of this, ordering a latte. And when Jared and I finally looked at how much she had rung up on her Starbucks for her Starbucks order, it was $6,000.
What?
$6,000 worth of gift cards. And we were like, what the hell is going on? And then finally she goes to pay, and she was like, oh, can I pay half in cash and half on a card? And they wouldn't let her. And then she just walks away. And I need to know, is this some sort of a scam that people are trying to do that is happening in other places? Because it was so sketchy. She was on the phone the entire time talking to somebody, and then just literally doesn't even say, I'm sorry for wasting your 30 minutes of time, just walks away.
This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I have a video of it. Jared took a video of like the like cash register, $6,000.
Wow. That's a record of some kind.
Isn't that weird?
Wow. She's not getting her finances in order.
No. And I love a Starbucks festive mug, but not for $6,000.
And she was literally like racking up all these gift cards and being like, can I have a pumpkin spice latte? And then like more. It was so weird. So weird. If anybody else has seen anything like this, like please let me know.
Well, we're so excited because we are going to get our finances in order. Vivian is here, and let's get into it because it's the new year.
Boop. New year.
This episode of Lady Gang is brought to you by Chime. We've been talking a lot about how to set yourself up for a successful 2023 with goals and saving goals and all of these things. That's why we're so excited to partner with Chime. With the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, you can start to build credit with your own money. Chime reports your payments to credit bureaus to help you build your credit over time. So if you got in trouble in your 20s, you got your first credit card, you kind of screwed up, you maybe have a little bit of a problem getting good credit and then getting a great interest rate, this can really help you. Their members see an increase of 30 points on average, which is huge. All of this with no annual fees, large security deposits, or credit checks to apply. So start your journey with Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/lady. That's chime.com/lady. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank NA pursuant to a license from Visa USA, Chime checking account, and a $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive impact on your credit score. Impact of score may vary, and some user scores may not improve. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply except at a MoneyPass ATMs in a 7-Eleven or at any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM.
Now back to the Lady Gang.
Okay, it is the first Lady Gang episode of 2023. And you know what that means. We're not talking about fashion. We're not talking about our messy ass lives. We're getting you to be rich because you have spent too much money during the holiday season. You went on vacation. You spoiled yourself. You treated yourself. And now it's time to hone it in. And January is the perfect time to learn. And it's a new tax season, and everything that was in 2022, you can leave alone. And that is why I'm so excited. A few months ago, I was doing an event in New York City. I met this incredible incredible woman, Vivian Tu, who had a big, huge Wall Street job. She quit that job and has become a global TikTok sensation, your rich BFF. She was named one of the top creators by Forbes in 2022. She's been seen everywhere. Her TikTok is insane. She's 1 million followers on Instagram. I think 2 point whatever million on TikTok now. Her videos have taught me more about money than anyone in my entire life. So we are so excited to bring our money questions to Viv today. Please welcome to the podcast. The podcast. Your rich BFF.
Woohoo! Thanks, guys. I'm so excited to be here.
We're so happy to have you.
I love that you did this. So tell me about the Wall Street background. Tell everyone like where you came from and how this has become your passion.
Yeah. So I grew up like in this immigrant Chinese household. Like parents were big, big savers. They were always like education, education. So I work very hard. I'm like this big nerd. I go to U Chicago. It's this school very much known for economics. And I wasn't an econ major because I literally took the first level class and like got like a C+. And I was like, ooh, this is not for me. But I majored in public policy and environmental studies. And because a lot of my friends were in Wall Street recruiting, looking for jobs after graduation, I did the same thing and ended up becoming an energy trader, an industrials materials and energy trader on Wall Street straight out of school. It was fun. I like really enjoyed the career. I enjoyed the job there. But as I decided to pivot out of finance, I moved into the tech space. And when I got into my new tech job, all of my new coworkers were like, oh, you came from Wall Street? You're going to rebalance my 401k. You're going to tell me what investments to pick. Which health insurance plan do you have? Like, tell me all these things that I don't know. And I was like, oh, you guys are so annoying. I'm just going to start creating videos on the internet. And one thing led to another, and the rest is history. And now we have this massive, massive BFF community. And it seems like there's a lot more people who wanted to learn about money than just my 7 coworkers.
I love that you started doing the videos just so you didn't have to actually like talk to your friends and give them advice. You're like, oh, really? Okay, go to video number 268 and that'll answer your question for you.
Yeah.
This is so exciting. I feel like this is the tip of the iceberg of women taking over the world, because I think the only thing stopping us for a long time was this insecurity about money and finance because it's such a male-dominated field. And women like you that are putting yourself out there, I'm sure the majority of your audience is women, watch the out world. This is going to be exciting. It's going to be a matriarchy up in this bitch.
It really is. And, you know, I think financial services for so long, right, has catered to male, pale, stale audiences. And it's like,
oh my God.
That
unbelievable.
But you think about like what other industry is the total addressable market? Literally everyone. And we only cater to old rich white guys. Like that doesn't even make business sense, much less like ethical sense. But like, you know, I think people were tired of looking at guys in suits who were yelling on TV, and they were like, I'm not really interested in getting any sort of information from someone who I can't relate to. This guy has been rich for a really long time. This guy can't relate to my regular struggle and like doesn't know what it's like to be a young person in reality. And suddenly when I'm like, hey, like, I'm not going to be the person to tell you not to buy that avocado toast, not to buy that Starbucks. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm listening. And suddenly, like, I come on with a bright pink t-shirt and big hoop earrings and a messy bun, and I look the way I do. And instead of looking like your dad's financial advisor, I look like your best friend from college. And I think that's like almost like it breaks down some of those walls that people are so nervous about when they like walk into like a financial advisor's office. And, you know, when you're talking to someone who actually speaks to you like a friend versus like lecturing, it's a lot easier to get information and it makes you want to learn.
I love that. I love that so much. And even like with the like wearing your messy bun and wearing pink, one of our friends of our podcast, Cindy Ecker, she sold $1 billion pharmaceutical company, and her whole thing is wearing bright pink all of the time. And I think that there's something to owning your femininity and being yourself and not conforming to like these bullshit standards of, you know, having to wear like a suit and like cover up and like making yourself almost more masculine to try to appease people. Like there's so much power in that alone. And that doesn't even have to do with anything with like financial stuff. But I love that you're doing that. It's so cool.
It's the best. So we are going to talk about how to balance your 401k, but I want to get everyone warmed up to you. And after we had invited you on and had this all scheduled, you posted the most insane Sephora returns TikTok. So this is the thing about Viv is she's going to help you raise your credit score, and she's also going to help you with your Sephora. Like, so break down the Sephora return policy like you did in this video. We're going to start there just so you know how smart this woman is. Sephora, if your corporate headquarters is listening to this or you work at Sephora, please turn this off.
Oh my God.
So I think, I love shopping at Sephora. I'm betting that a lot of the LadyGang listeners do too. And what I didn't realize for such a long time is that you can actually take back product that's already been opened and used. There is actually a return policy that if you test something out, it makes you break out, you don't like how it looks, you can bring it back within 30 days for a full money back guarantee, like no problem. And even after that window, depending on how much of the product you've used, you can still get store credit. And all you really have to do is either have an account with Sephora so that they can find it on their end, or just keep the paper receipt that you got printed out. And it's amazing because I think about the amount of money that I spend on makeup, and I spend on moisturizer, and I spend on lipstick, eyeliner, foundation, concealer. This is not cheap stuff, especially at Sephora when you're potentially buying some higher end brands. If you buy something and you don't like it, you're probably out, 30, 40, 50 bucks. And it's just silly to do that when there is the return policy where you can go back, bring the product and say, hey, this didn't work for me, and get that money back and buy something else from Sephora that you really do like and love.
Awesome.
That's where we're starting.
No, I just found that out 2 months ago. I was like, no way. I thought if I bought this lipstick and I didn't like it, I was just fucked. It's amazing.
Okay. Next baby step into the money saving. I know that your whole thing is I'm not going to tell you not to have the avocado toast. I'm not going to tell you not to have the Starbucks. And something that we've heard on the podcast and we hear from people is well, it's so easy, but right now I'm focused on this recession and I'm focused on feeding my family. So I want to start and be aware and compassionate to everyone listening that we're here and we're joking about Sephora returns, but shit is really hard for a lot of people right now. And you have ideas on how to save money on your groceries. And I think this is a great place to start.
Yeah. So when it comes to saving money on your groceries, I have 3 kind of tips that I really, really recommend. First and foremost, stop going into the grocery store. Strategically, grocery stores are laid out in a way that appeals to the worst parts of your brain, and your decision-making is truly hindered in a grocery store. Why do you think they put the produce right at the front, but they put the candy bars right before you check out? Because they're hoping by the end of your shopping trip, you're worn down, you've made so many decisions, your brain is tired, and you're like, oh, what's an extra Twix bar? What's an extra Kit Kat? And then, you're buying things that you may not necessarily have purchased in the right mind. And the same thing with going to the grocery store on an empty stomach. You know what I walk out with? I walk out with 3 bags of Cheetos and a Gatorade. And I'm like, this is not groceries. This is what I would pick up at a gas station. So do your best to actually do curbside pickup. A lot of stores are offering it for free. And that way you can make a full list of, hey, these are the meals I want to make this week. That way you don't get anything frivolous or stupid that you wouldn't normally buy. Up next, I would say get cash back. There is 0 reason why you should be buying and spending your dollar and not getting something back for it. I like to say that rich people have this sense of entitlement. And for the most part, it's kind of annoying. But one thing that rich people do really, really well is that they feel like if I'm giving you my business, you owe me something in return. And I think regular everyday consumers should feel that way. If you use a cashback app like a Fetch or an Ibotta, and you go and buy your groceries and then scan your receipt, you will get cash back for doing something that you were going to have to do anyway. You have to eat. So this is an easy way to put an extra few dollars back in your pocket every single week. But, I made a video about this recently. People have been saying over the years, I've saved $1,000 from cash back on my groceries, which is a meaningful amount of money. And then obviously last but not least, this is just a very much a tricky marketing thing. When you go to the grocery store, don't look at the price of the item, look at the unit price. And so, if you go and you see some food and it's like, $5.99, don't look at that price. Look at the price of what it is per ounce, per gram, per pound. And that way you'll actually know what it's worth for one unit. And that way, when you look at other brands that are doing deals or sales, you'll be able to compare apples to apples of like, for 1 ounce of this, it's this. For 1 ounce of this, it's that. And that way it's actually being compared versus like, hey, this box is slightly bigger and it's slightly more expensive, but I can't tell which is actually a better deal. Use the unit price.
Whoa.
I love it. All right. Now we're going to get into some heavy stuff. So I agree with you 1000%. And I think that this is something that I've actually done really well in my life is use my credit cards and my points and my cashbacks and whatever to save money or make money on making purchases. I was actually crushed by the LadyGang Facebook group a few years ago when I asked inside the group, I asked anyone if they worked at Anthropologie and I could use their discount to buy something that was very expensive. And people were like, you're trash. And I was like, I'm actually very savvy. And yes, it's probably not nice to use someone else's store. And that's probably against the rules. But like, listen, I'm always looking for a sale and I'm still a couponer and I don't give a shit that I have $1 million house. Like I can love a coupon. I want a sale. I want to make money. And one of the things that you talk about is using your credit cards to make you rich. And how do we do that? And give us like the easy way, what we should be setting up in 2023 to make the most of using our credit cards.
Yeah, I think what we forget is that credit cards are a two-sided thing. There's pros and there's cons. But you can make the most of your credit card if you spend responsibly and pay off in full every single month on time. Credit cards make money 3 ways. And I always say like track the money because that's how you're going to find out how this is benefiting you. First and foremost, they charge interchange fees to the merchants who let you use a credit card at the store. So they're making money from the merchants. 2, they make money off of annual fees. So that's what you get a fancy credit card every single year. You got to pay them this money. And last but not least, they make money by charging you interest on your purchases if you hold a balance every single month. So instead of spending $100 on that shirt, by the end of the year, that shirt's $125 if you didn't pay it off the month after you bought it. And what's really, really special is that if you are able to spend responsibly and get a credit card with great rewards, you can make so much money. And I always joke, I'm like, credit card companies are not making money off of rich people and off of smart people who pay their balances in full. They're giving away. And I say this because depending on what you're spending your money on, whether that's groceries and gas, if you are a mom and, taking care of a family, or if it's travel and dining out, if you're a young person living in a city and spending most of your money on experiences, you will be able to find a credit card that perfectly caters to your needs. And that will allow you to spend money in the categories that you are already spending money on, and then getting cash back or rewards points that you can then redeem for gift cards, for true dollars in your pocket, or for even just like amazing trips that you otherwise wouldn't have really wanted to shell out for. So a credit card is a tool. Debt is not bad. It is a tool. The same way a shovel is a tool. You can use the shovel to plant a beautiful garden, or you can whack someone over the head with a shovel, but I'm not recommending that. But it's just a tool. It's not good or bad.
Ooh. What are your favorite credit cards, like for the different, that you're just talking about, like, different age brackets, lifestyles, stuff like that? Do you have any favorites?
Yeah. So if I'm like an absolute true beginner to the credit card space, I would go with something like the Citi Double Cashback card. Reason being, their motto is so awesome. You get a % cash back when you buy the item, and then you get a % cash back when you pay it off.
Oh.
So it really, really does incentivize folks to pay off the balance in full every single month on time.
Yeah.
If you're interested in travel, I would say like the Amex Platinum, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the
Capital One Venture X. I just made $2,000 of free money. Thank you very much.
We are making it rain.
Those are really, really good for folks who travel a lot. And, it just really, really depends on what you're spending your money on. And even just for students who are trying to build their credit, I would say the Discovered secured, like the college secured card, where you put down a security deposit. If you have no credit, you can still get a credit card, start building your credit, and also get some rewards while you're doing it.
Cool. I didn't know that was an option of putting down a security deposit.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's really smart. When you talk about investing, I think this is the thing, and I think a lot of our ladies are at this age, and this is not everyone in the Lady Gang, but where you're kind of like, okay, I'm sort of in my big girl job. I'm kind of in my life. I may have my kids. I may be planning for kids, but we just went on tour this fall and we saw so many women, and it kind of seemed like there was a lot of moms' nights out. There's a lot of people that had just graduated, and they may start to have a 401k at work. They may have some money. And I think it's it's so strange in the financial world, because I feel like so much of the content for us women is how to not be broke, how to not spend all your money on Louboutins. And what I really need is someone to tell me, when I have an extra $10, $25, $100,000 at the end of the year, what am I doing with that money to create generational wealth in my life? And that is something they just think oh my God, the Starbucks, I'm spending too much money on Starbucks. No, I actually I worked hard. I got the fucking job. What am I supposed to do with this money now? And I know you talk about fractional investing, but what are your thoughts on how to find help, how to invest, how to create that big life for yourself?
Yeah, I think back to a point you mentioned, women have been given this narrative that we're overspenders, confessions of a shopaholic, we splurge, we do that. No, we don't. There have literally been scientific studies that have shown that women are better investors than men, because we actually take risk into account and we're not just gambling. So I want to do away with that narrative right now. Women are equally as good, if not better, investors than men. If you want to get yourself into tip-top financial shape, I would love to share my proprietary strip method. And I say this because people are always well, how do I make money? How do I get rich? And I'm you should strip. And people are oh, really? And I'm no, not that kind. Strip is an acronym. Savings. First thing you want to do is set aside an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a recessionary environment. I would say 6 to 9 months is even better. You want to have this money if your car, the wheels fall off your car, or you're in your apartment and the roof caves in and there's water leakage and you got to call somebody, whatever. This is for true emergencies. You break your leg. Have that set aside first and foremost, because if anything bad happens to you, you need money that you can get right away. You are going to put that money into a high yield savings account. This is a type of account that is just like a regular savings account, except you get more interest every single year. Right now, high yield savings accounts are offering a touch over 3% in interest. That's awesome, because your regular bank is offering you 0.06%. So 3% is a lot better than that. Yeah. T stands for total debt. You're going to pay it down from highest to lowest interest rate. Reason being, you want to focus on high interest rate debt because it compounds faster. The same way that investing compounds and makes you rich, debt can compound and make you broke. So we want to pay off anything with a high interest rate debt. So anything above 7% first and foremost. Everything else you can kind of put on the back burner, just make the minimum payments on it, and you can invest while you pay off that lower interest rate debt. R stands for retirement. You're going to want to open tax advantaged accounts like a 401k or a Roth IRA so that you can prepare to invest for your retirement. And I, being invest, focuses on investing in both yourself and your passion projects, but also very literally, I highly recommend, if you have no idea what you're doing, find a robo-advisor that offers fees that are about 0.25%, no more, and just take a quiz on their website. Tell them about your money goals, tell them about your age, tell them about how much you make every year, and they will create a portfolio for you. They're going to charge that small fee to do that, but it's better than just letting your money sit in a checking account.
And can you give examples of the robo? Is that what's the name of the website?
Like a Vanguard.
Like a Vanguard.
So those are typically self-managed. I would say things like a Wealthfront or a Betterment are great robo-advisor options. But the other alternative for that I piece is to invest on your own, to self-direct. And if you're planning on self-directing, I think what I always recommend is telling people that I literally worked on Wall Street as a trader, and I do not buy individual stocks. I buy mutual funds, I buy ETFs, I buy index funds that track the broader market, because why would I buy one type of candy when I can buy a party pack and get a zillion different types? And yes, there's going to be lots of flavors that I love in there, and there's going to be a few that I don't, but it diversifies your portfolio. It means you have options versus just having one. So, this is looking at index funds like a VOO or a VTI that tracks the overall market, and potentially investing in a target date retirement fund. All you got to do is calculate the year that you turn 60 and find the year that's closest to that in target date. So I typically look for a 2055 or 2050 target date retirement fund for myself, just because of how old I am. But the listeners can literally backtrack into what their age would be.
Do you just Google that? Do you just go like target date retirement funds? So all you have to do is whatever brokerage you decide to open up with, they likely have target date retirement funds. One house that's really, really good at this is like a Vanguard. They have their target date retirement funds that you can just find the year that applies to you and pick that one. And P is plan. You cannot be who you want to be without putting pen to paper and writing down your goals. And I do this every single New Year's, and I do this every single mid-year, because now that I'm my own boss, I have to assess my own goals. I have to give myself, targets and projections and quotas. And by writing what you want down, planning for the future, making decisions of like, I want to be a millionaire by this age, that's actually going to help you figure out the steps you need to take to do it.
You're like a hot young Dave Ramsey.
And I quote. And I also think that there's this thought that you have to already have a ton of money to start investing. No. And I always like to, I think I've told people this on the podcast, but when I was in my early 20s, even when I was broke, you guys, like I was living in a closet, like I had no money. And I remember seeing somewhere that if you put in $25 a month to some fucking savings account and you just left it there, that over time it would build. And like it absolutely did. And eventually I could put $200 a month, and eventually I could put $2,000 a month. And it really is. So you don't have to be like, oh, I have $100,000 to invest in the stock market. Like you can literally do it with a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of money now. And this time next year, you'll be thinking of Viv, and you'll be like, oh, she was right. Like I have this little piece and I can see the interest that it made. And now I'm going to make money on that free money that I got from the interest. Like it really is a big deal, this compounding interest. But you also talk about fractional shares investing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we are no longer in the dark ages. You do not need Kelty, to your point, you don't need to have hundreds of dollars to invest. You can literally have $5 and do exactly what the big boys are doing. You will just own a fraction of a share instead of a full share. So I'm thinking of a major index fund, VOO. VOO is currently trading at like $350 to buy one share. You don't need $350 to invest in that. If you have $5, you can get a tiny sliver of a share and still participate in the growth of that company or of that index fund. And it really allows you to build your wealth even when you only have $10, $15 to put away every single month. And what's so powerful about this is that the number one secret to being rich is not having a bunch of money to invest. It's actually just being young, starting early, because time is your best friend when it comes to building wealth. The more time you have, the easier it is.
Great. Wow. Blowing our minds. We're old.
You're listening to the Lady Gang.
Jack, do you have any questions you want to ask now that you're like, I see your brain exploding?
You need to ask her if this is the right time to buy a house. I bet I know the answer.
Of course, that's where I was going. I've been trying to buy a house since 2019. I started looking right when everything kind of went to shit. So, I mean, you're not obviously like a real estate like expert, but I'm sure you have some insight to if you think that, you know, buying a house now is a good investment, if I should be putting my money somewhere else. Like, what are your thoughts just regarding that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So buying a home right now is very tricky because, so we'll do a little history lesson. When COVID crashed in March, the stock market and the economy, broadly speaking, in March of 2020. And I would say mid 2021, end of 2021, rates were at an all-time low. Like they were 2.5% to borrow money. So the money was cheap, but home prices were high. And now the inverse is true. Rates are like 7% for a 30-year fixed mortgage. But home prices, because rates are high, have begun to come dropping because the demand has really, really slowed.
Yeah.
What I will say is that there's no perfect time to buy. Right now, I think there is one school of thought that is you date the rate and marry the home.
Yeah.
So what that means is if you can buy a home on the cheap right now and have a high rate, your monthly is still going to be pretty robust, your monthly cost. But in a couple years, if rates come down, you can refinance and then you'll have, a home that you paid very little for that's worth a lot more and you'll have a lower rate because you've refinanced.
Right.
That said, I don't like the idea of banking on a refinance because you don't know when rates are going to come back down. That could be in a decade. That could be in 2 decades. We really don't know. So what I would say is that if you find a home that you really like right now, that you can afford the monthly cost on, I wouldn't, quote unquote, wait much longer. But, I also wouldn't overextend yourself right now, given that it sounds like the Federal Reserve is likely going to continue to raise rates, meaning home prices are likely still got some room to fall.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like that idea because it's like I should be able to, whatever I'm buying, I need to be able to pay the mortgage every month. I don't
Correct.
need to I shouldn't buy something that's out of my price range to hope that in a couple months or in a year or a couple of years that I'd be able to, refinance. That's very smart. That is kind of where I am, but it's all just a crapshoot.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Becca, do you have anything you want to just personally, cycle? She's a new mom. Becca just had a baby.
Yeah. No, I think it's the first time in my life at the ripe age of 36 years old that I actually feel like I was mature enough in the last couple years to really think about the future. I also think just a little bit of advice for people starting later. I mean, you did say it's like time is your best friend, but some women may not get to the point of financial freedom and independence until 40 or 45 or whatever it may be. What would you suggest if suddenly you are in your big girl job and it is the first time? Well, I guess we kind of covered this, but not to be discouraged, because I think I got to a point where I was like early 30s and I was hearing Kelty brag every week about her like $1 million retirement fund. And I'm like, well, I spent the money on the Louboutins and I spent the money on the expensive rent. Like, I'm so guilt ridden that I'm just going to have to pray that, I marry someone really rich. I need you to give
I love you so much.
I need you to give a pep talk to the girls to be like, you can get there. You may not be Kelty, like living on the top of a hill in a mansion, but like you can still do it, right? They can still make it happen for themselves.
There is no better day to start investing than yesterday, but the second best day is today. So truly, you are never too young or too old to begin investing or to begin getting, on your financial journey.
a lot of us start a lot later. And like, I speak to this audience and I'm like, you should do this when you're 18. You know who didn't do that when they were 18? Me. I didn't start until I was, you know, in my mid 20s, and I have done okay for myself. And obviously mid 20s is still very, very young. But even if you're in your 40s and your 50s and you have just gotten this crazy job for the first time in your life, you're starting to feel like you really have, you know, extra money. Like, here's the thing. Time is less on your side than if you were in your sprightly 20s, for sure. But you also likely are making more. So you'll be able to set aside more every month. You're going to be able to put more money away than the young, sprightly 20-year-old can. And you are still going to be able to get to where you need to be. I don't think that people should feel discouraged if they're just a little older, because we all start our journeys from a different place. We were all born into very different lives. Some of us are born extremely privileged. Some people are born into poverty, and a lot of us are born somewhere in the middle. Do not let your circumstances dictate your future. You are in control of what happens from today forward.
Amen.
Preach. And also, like, that just brought up a good thing too. I was always really intimidated to ask questions. I really think it's so important for women to know, women especially, to whoever you're dealing with, whoever's helping you out with your investments, or whoever's helping you at the bank, their job is to answer every single question until you understand it. And like, be the rich person who demands you're giving them business and I want in return for you to educate the shit out of me, and I don't want there to be any gray area. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. I think that a lot of people are banking on the idea that you're going to be too afraid to ask for clarification. And so they benefit from that. And you've heard us ask stupid questions on this podcast. I'm a grown-ass woman with a child. Like, it's okay to not understand. We did not learn this in school. And I think it's really empowering to ask the stupid questions until you understand.
I always think, and this is like such a finance person thing to say, but like, I always think of who benefits from me not asking that question. It ain't me. Ask the question. Like, I'm always someone who's like, negotiate, push again until you really feel like, you know, you're about to get in trouble. Like, you may not be able to buy this car, trouble. Like, keep pushing, because you don't get what you don't ask for. And I think a lot of us, especially, you know, us women, are taught that it's good not to make waves. You don't want to be seen as a nuisance or disturbing. And fuck it. Disturb people. Like, you are a paying customer. You have every right to be there. You are entitled to information. These are things that if someone cannot answer for you, it's not because you're stupid, or it's not because, you know, that you don't deserve an answer. They probably don't know. They might have to go get a manager. And like, that just tells me you're asking good questions. And, you know, it's so funny that we talk about this, like, me and my fiance, we have an estate planner, and they sent over a document, and we're like, oh, can you sign this? And I was like, what is this? And they just read to me the title of the document. And I'm like, right, no, I can read. What does that mean?
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know.
And I was like so offended, because I was like, does this person think I'm stupid? Like, I can read with my two eyes what this means. I'm asking you to explain it to me in layman's terms, because I'm not going to sign something until I understand. And the person that I asked talked in circles, and I was like, no, but I really want to know what this means. And they eventually ended up confessing that they didn't know. And I was like, I'm not going to sign if you don't know what this is. That's weird.
Damn.
So don't be afraid to, you know, be that person. You can get loud. It's okay.
Yeah.
2023, get loud with your money. I know you already have fallen in love with her. Please follow Vivian on Your Rich BFF on TikTok, and then Your.Rich BFF on Instagram. She's incredible. She also has a YouTube channel, which is amazing. It's the same. The branding is clear. Your Rich BFF. Thank you for coming on. I wish everyone organization and strip
get
that
down
shit
to
this year.
stripping.
Strip that shit. And I hope you come back on very soon. And we'll see you
next Tuesday.
Thanks for listening. The Lady Gang is produced by Alex Ingber, Steve Delameter, and Jared Monaco. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. And if you love it, share it with your friends on social media. Like, oh my God, I just listened to Lady Gang. This episode's so great. Swipe up to listen. And if you really want to, which we know you do, please follow us on social. At Kelty, at Becca, at Jack Vanek, and at The Lady Gang. Sign up for our newsletter at theladygang.com and join our secret Facebook group. It's super fun. See you next Tuesday.